Caligula, the anti-Stoic emperor. Reason versus tyranny.
Hey guys, welcome to the Canal Academy for Modern Stoic. In today's video, we'll explore the reign of Caligula, a Roman emperor notorious for his tyranny and extravagance, and analyze how his actions contrast mildly with the tenets of Stoicism. Caligula, whose full name was Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, was born in 12 AD and reigned from 37 to 41 AD. He was the son of Germanicus and Agrippina the Elder, and the great-nephew of Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Caligula had several siblings, including Nero Caesar, Drusus Caesar, Agrippina the Younger, Drusilla, and Julia Livilla. From a young age, Caligula was involved in complex imperial politics, but it was after the death of Emperor Tiberius that he ascended the throne, initially receiving popular support due to expectations of a promising reign. Unfortunately, Caligula's reign quickly became synonymous with chaos and despotism. He committed acts of extreme cruelty, recklessness, and eccentric behavior that shocked both his contemporaries and history. Caligula had a daughter named Julia Drusilla, but his lineage was interrupted when he was assassinated in 41 AD by members of the Praetorian Guard, including disgruntled officers and members of the Senate who were exasperated by his regime of terror. Throughout this video, we will highlight how Caligula's excesses and tyrannies exemplify an exclusion from Stoic ideals, which value reason, virtue, and self-control. Stoicism, a philosophy that flourished in ancient Rome, was championed by figures such as Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. This philosophy teaches the importance of virtue, reason, and emotional tranquility. Let's explore how Caligula, with his impulsive and tyrannical actions, represents the opposite of Stoic values. So, get ready for a journey through Roman history and philosophical thought as we look at one of Rome's most infamous emperors and his antithesis to Stoic principles. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content about philosophy, ethics, and personal development.
Contempt for reason and uncontrolled emotions.
Caligula was known for his impulsiveness and cruelty, characteristics that contrast sharply with the Stoic emphasis on rationality and emotional control. His reign was marked by reckless and violent decisions that instilled fear and chaos among his subjects. One of his most notorious actions was the arbitrary execution of senators and other high-ranking officials, often without any fair trial or apparent reason. This behavior generated a climate of paranoia and insecurity in the Roman court, undermining the political stability of the empire. In addition to executions, Caligula also ruthlessly persecuted minorities, including Jews and Christians, who were targeted by his oppressive policies. He even ordered the placement of his own statue in the Jerusalem temple, a direct affront to Jewish beliefs, exacerbating religious and social tensions. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches that we must use reason to moderate our emotions and achieve inner tranquility. According to the Stoics, virtue resides in the ability to control passions and act with wisdom and justice. Seneca, one of the main Stoic philosophers, stated that the greatest blessing for the soul is not to be shaken by passions. This philosophy promotes the idea that, to live a good life, it is essential to maintain an emotional balance and not succumb to destructive impulses. In contrast, Caligula allowed himself to be driven by anger, envy, and paranoia, acting in an impetuous and irrational manner. His inability to control his emotions led to actions that not only compromised his authority but also caused suffering and instability in the empire. Historical accounts describe episodes in which Caligula, driven by momentary jealousy or whims, ordered severe punishments or made drastic administrative decisions without considering the long-term consequences. The contrast between Caligula and Stoic principles is evident. While the Stoics preached the importance of reason as a guide to moral action and a balanced life, Caligula exemplified the danger of a government led by uncontrolled impulses and irrationality. His life and reign serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of self-control and reason, central pillars of Stoicism that are essential to effective leadership and inner peace.
Denial of virtue and search for absolute power.
Caligula's obsession with power and his belief in his own divinity are clear examples of his denial of Stoic principles. He saw himself as a living god, demanding absolute worship and obedience, behavior that exemplifies the antithesis of the humility and moderation promoted by Stoicism. In one famous episode, Caligula ordered the construction of a floating bridge across the Bay of Baiae, simply to prove that he could walk on water, an act of extreme vanity that reflected his vision of absolute, unlimited power. His brutal repression of dissent and the extreme centralization of power in his hands are a stark contrast to the Stoic ideal of a just and benevolent ruler who serves the common good. Stoicism, as advocated by philosophers such as Epictetus, teaches that true power resides in virtue and wisdom. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists much more in pleasure than in the possession of things." This principle highlights that the pursuit of power and wealth without virtue leads to corruption and despotism. Caligula, on the other hand, used power in a tyrannical way. He not only centralized power, but also sought to eliminate any form of opposition, ruling with fear and intimidation. His acts of cruelty, such as the execution of his brother-in-law and the public humiliation of senators, were measures designed to consolidate his absolute control, completely ignoring the Stoic values of justice and equality. While Stoicism advocates honesty, justice, and respect for laws, Caligula manipulated religion and law to legitimize his tyrannical rule. He proclaimed himself a god and built temples in his honor, using religion as a tool of control. In one of his most famous statements, Caligula is said to have said, "Remember that I have the right to do anything to anyone." This phrase encapsulates his distorted view of power, contrasting sharply with the Stoic view that power must be exercised responsibly and fairly. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, viewed leadership as a moral duty to serve the people. In his Meditations, he wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves continually hurl themselves. He remains firm and the waters around him eventually calm down." Marcus Aurelius believed that a ruler must be firm and fair, remaining unperturbed in the face of adversity and always guided by reason and morals. Caligula, however, demonstrated the opposite behavior. His manipulation of religion for personal purposes and his proclamation as a divinity were ways of justifying his tyrannical acts and feeding his excessive ego. He moved away from the Stoic idea that virtue is the only true source of power and effective leadership. Instead, he indulged in hedonism and self-glorification, ignoring the common good and perpetuating a legacy of tyranny and oppression. The Stoic principles of honesty, justice, and respect for the law are fundamental to effective and ethical leadership. Caligula, with his relentless pursuit of absolute power and his denial of virtue, serves as a clear example of how disregard for these values can lead to personal ruin and widespread suffering. When contrasting Caligula with Stoic ideals, we see the importance of governing with integrity and responsibility, always seeking collective well-being above personal ambitions.
Indifference to fortune and search for exaggerated hedonism.
Caligula lived a life of excess and hedonism, which contrasts sharply with the Stoic emphasis on accepting what is outside our control and moderating pleasures. His reign was marked by extravagance and excessive spending, which often put the financial stability of the Roman Empire at risk. A notorious example is his construction of a floating palace, a luxurious barge intended for parties and entertainment, which symbolized both his wealth and his contempt for moderation and fiscal prudence. Stoicism, on the contrary, teaches you to cultivate resilience in the face of adversity and to find contentment in simplicity. Seneca, one of the main advocates of Stoicism, advised, "Moderation is necessary in everything, even in good things. virtue consists in moderation. This Stoic view of balance and restraint is diametrically opposed to the behavior of Caligula, who sought instant satisfaction in excessive and luxurious pleasures. His penchant for hedonism not only depleted the empire's resources but also exacerbated social and economic inequality. Caligula wasted the empire's resources on extravagant parties and opulent banquets. Historians report banquets where the emperor served rare and expensive delicacies, such as pearls dissolved in vinegar, just to show off his wealth and power. These displays of extravagance were a direct affront to the Stoic ethic of frugality and simplicity. Epictetus, another great Stoic, emphasized that wealth does not consist in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Stoic philosophy teaches that true happiness comes from virtue and wisdom, not from the accumulation of wealth or material pleasures. In addition to banquets, Caligula invested in megalomaniacal projects, such as the construction of aqueducts and temples dedicated to himself, which had no practical purpose other than to display his power and self-proclaimed divinity. These expensive projects drained public coffers and neglected the real needs of the empire, such as infrastructure and the well-being of citizens. In contrast, Marcus Aurelius, another emperor influenced by Stoicism, wrote in his Meditations, "Poverty is the mother and companion of virtue." Marco Aurelio believed that a leader should prioritize the well-being of the people and govern with responsibility and justice, even in the face of financial difficulties. Caligula also showed indifference to fortune and luck, believing that his divine status made him invulnerable. This belief in his own invincibility led him to make reckless and arrogant decisions, without considering the consequences for himself or the empire. The Stoics, however, teach how to accept fate with serenity and maintain equanimity in the face of life's ups and downs. Seneca stated, "We cannot change external events, but we can change our attitudes toward them." Stoic philosophy preaches that true strength lies in remaining calm and composed, regardless of external circumstances. Ultimately, Caligula's hedonistic and reckless life serves as a powerful example of what happens when one rejects the Stoic principles of moderation, frugality, and acceptance of fate. While Caligula sought pleasure and power at any cost, the Stoics teach that true happiness and inner peace come from virtue, wisdom, and moderation. Caligula's rejection of these values not only led to his downfall, but also left a legacy of waste and misrule that severely damaged the Roman Empire. By contrasting his reign with Stoic ideals, we can learn to value simplicity, responsibility, and resilience in our own lives.
Conclusion.
Throughout this video, we explore Caligula's reign and how his impulsive, cruel, and extravagant actions embody a total rejection of Stoic principles. He despised reason, surrendered to absolute power, and dedicated himself to hedonism, leaving a legacy of tyranny and cruelty that haunted the history of the Roman Empire. Caligula not only ignored the importance of rationality and self-control, but also manipulated religion and law to consolidate his rule, acting completely opposite to the Stoic ideals of justice, honesty, and moderation. Stoicism, on the other hand, offers a robust guide to virtuous living and just government. Stoic philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of reason, virtue, and self-control. They taught that true strength and happiness come from resilience in the face of adversity, moderation of pleasures, and acceptance of fate with serenity. Stoic philosophy proposes that by cultivating virtue and wisdom, we can achieve inner tranquility and live harmoniously and justly, both in our personal lives and in our leadership. We hope this video has shown the relevance of Stoicism as a practical philosophy for facing life's challenges and promoting ethical leadership. While Caligula exemplifies the dangers of a life governed by impulsiveness and hedonism, Stoicism inspires us to seek virtue and reason as pillars of a balanced and meaningful life. Thanks for watching. If you are interested in philosophy, ethics, and personal development, subscribe to our Academy for Modern Stoic channel. Here, we explore ancient wisdom and its application to modern life, offering inspiring and informative content that can help you live more consciously and virtuously. To the next.